want people to know that my daughter wouldn't hurt nobody. She didn't bother nobody. She knew God. And why my daughter?
Jasmine Washington's family has prayed for justice. The Reverend's daughter was found murdered outside a church back in 2018.
It's been a long time coming for an Ohio family who still cannot understand why it had to be them. This was a story that was so disturbing years ago, it was removed from platforms. It was on September 17, 2018, when Jasmine Washington's body was discovered at Broadway Christian Church in Ohio. Jasmine was a young mother who sustained severe trauma from an alleged stranger. 26-year-old Jamal spent 2 years on the run, and now, after years of delay, he was finally sentenced this December in Cleveland, Ohio court.
Jasmine's life had no meaning to him. He treated Jasmine as if she was nothing and disposed of her as if she was trash. And it's torture to think about because she wasn't that to us. She was something to us.
Jasmine Washington was 31 years old and lived in Cleveland, Ohio. Jasmine was described by friends and family as nurturing, thoughtful, and charitable. Jasmine was a mother, sister, daughter, and friend. She was the oldest of 6 children and had 3 little ones of her own. Church and music were a big part of her life. Jasmine even played the piano, and she loved to sing with her father.
Well, Jasmine was absolutely funny, and she loved to sing. She was a very good singer. She loved people. She loved her family very much. She might have had some challenges, but she was still loved, and she will not be forgotten.
Her father is the Reverend at Straightaway Bible Fellowship in Cleveland Heights. It was said collectively, her family loved to rejoice and worship together. That's why September 2018 was very depressing for the family. That gloomy day, her father was on his way to Bible study with his wife, and he received a call out of nowhere. He said it was a call from the medical examiner's office asking for him to come down to the office. It was said that he needed to identify his daughter's body after she was found, beaten, and stuffed under church steps not too far away from her home.
Her dad, Pastor James Washington, talked about receiving the phone call no parent should ever get.
Telling me that my firstborn daughter, not only was she dead, but that she was brutally murdered and left for days at the scene of the crime. The visual of seeing my daughter's foot sticking out from under some branches in the wooden steps is something that I will never forget.
On September 17, 2018, Jasmine Washington was attacked and later found beaten to death with a garden tool. During the attack, the suspect allegedly dragged her body behind a local church and then fled the scene. Jasmine was just a half a mile away from her apartment. Unfortunately, once police arrived at the scene, there wasn't much they could go on within that first 48 hours. In a homicide, the first 48 hours are the most crucial, and unfortunately, if police don't get a lead, there's chances that solving the homicide is cut in half. Unfortunately, Jasmine's case turned into one of the 26 unsolved cases assigned to Cleveland's Homicide Review Task Force in 2019. The task force was created that year to tackle Cleveland's police low solve rates for homicide. During the press conference, officials also said that the FBI would be a part of the task force, but many didn't think this task force was enough to help these unsolved cases. So on September 15, 2019, Jasmine's family went to the local news to seek answers.
I have a whole lot of questions, and I want a lot of questions answered. I need answers. I mean, come on, it's been almost, 2 years? Almost 2 years.
Although police stated they were making changes, her father expressed that the police did not keep in contact with them and barely gave any information on the case. It wasn't until May 27, 2020, when detectives got the biggest break in Jasmine's case.
Washington was angry, saying police hadn't called yet.
I should have been the first person that they contacted, not you guys telling me that Not you guys telling me that they have somebody in custody.
This is the man police say killed Jasmine. 26-year-old Jamal Kukla, now charged with aggravated murder. The Cleveland Homicide Review Task Force's investigation led them to Kukla. According to this arrest warrant, they got a sample of his DNA, and it matched DNA evidence collected from the crime scene. 19 Investigates discovered Jamal Kukla had one arrest in his past. In 2014, he was arrested for aggravated disorderly conduct, a first-degree misdemeanor. He was ordered to attend anger management classes. We also uncovered Kukla's most recent address in Cleveland is just 3.5 miles away from Broadway Christian Church in Slavic Village, where Jasmine's body was found just a half mile from her apartment.
I don't recognize the guy's name. I looked at it, I've never heard of this guy. And I really want to ask this person, why my daughter? For that matter, why anybody's daughter? But specifically, most importantly, why would you do that by taking somebody else's life? And that's a travesty right here, right now in this community, that, people feel like it's okay to take a life because the life doesn't really matter.
Jamal was indicted on charges of aggravated murder, kidnapping, assault, gross abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Although he was arrested and indicted on those charges, Jamal still pleaded not guilty and was held on a $1 million bond. Although he was arrested in 2020, it still took some time for this case to go to trial. Within the years, Jamal later became a patient at a behavioral health facility for mental health treatment. The original trial was set for the early months of 2021. However, he was found incompetent to stand trial at that time. Jamal's trial didn't begin until October 31st, 2022, in front of Judge Deborah Turner. Opening statements, testimony, police, and investigators took the stand during the trial.
We are here because 31-year-old Jasmine Washington was brutally beaten and killed, and she did not deserve to be discarded like a piece of trash behind that church. I am confident that you will only be left with one decision and one just verdict, and that is finding Jamal Kukla guilty. There was actual blood found on the coat, and that blood belonged to Jamal Kukla. Jasmine Washington's DNA was also on these items. Jasmine Washington, although she's not with us, needs you all to serve as jurors and look at the evidence in this case.
Jamal's defense attorney disagreed with the prosecutors and painted a different picture.
She didn't typically like us too much. She yelled at us frequently. I never saw her be violent with anyone.
Just hostile, at least with you?
Yes.
Don't forget, Mr. Kukla, in his plea of not guilty, says he didn't do it. So keep an open mind.
All in all, a jury found Jamal guilty on 2 counts of murder, as well as 1 count of assault, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. Jamal's sentencing was before the holidays, and several members of Washington families read victim impact statements prior to the judge handing down the sentencing.
Jasmine's life had no meaning to him. He treated Jasmine as if she was nothing and disposed of her as if she was trash. And it's torture to think about because she wasn't that to us. She was something to us.
Telling me that my firstborn daughter, not only was she dead, but that she was brutally murdered and left for days at the scene of the crime. The visual of seeing my daughter's foot sticking out from under some branches in the wooden steps is something that I will never forget. I want you to know, Jamal Kukla, I forgive you, but I will never be able to forget what you did to my daughter.
Jamal reportedly did not apologize nor address the court at all during his hearing on advice of his counsel. Nonetheless, Judge Deborah Turner ordered Jamal to serve a sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. His defense attorneys reportedly said they plan to appeal the verdict and the sentencing.